Hey, hello and welcome everybody to Booze Hour Community Edition. This is a special one because it is the last episode of season 2 for the Community Edition, and I'm not sure where we'll take it from here. There's been a big gap between episode 5 and episode 6 because I think we're starting to, I don't want to call it new normal because everybody calls it new normal, but I think we're getting to a point where we're starting to at least in our industry, we're starting to see a lot of stuff pick up again. People are getting back to work. And so that's caused me to kind of delay things. As many of you know, this is kind of a side of my desk project here and something that I found interesting to do during the pandemic. And so we'll see how things go, but hopefully everybody enjoys this final one, at least for season 2 here. I'll bring on Tanya in just a second. What I did want to mention is that this season 2 has been supported by what I would call community partners. And so Equinix, We Hack Purple, HashiCorp, and Okta have been great supporters. Alex Langley, especially, and Bill Hunka, and Terry Johal, and Tanya. So I thank them for the support through this entire season. They were able to help me out a little bit with some of the stuff on the back end. And then otherwise, looking for folks to just check out the previous episodes. And we also have a mailing list going on as well at darylandboo.com just to keep up to date with all the things that we're up to. I have a number of things that are going to be coming up in the next little while here. So you want to stay tuned on, I don't know, my Twitter or my LinkedIn or the YouTube if you haven't subscribed yet. So if you are watching this from YouTube right now, there's a subscribe button probably down here. So you want to click that if you haven't already. And if you're on LinkedIn right now, that's great. Make sure you're following me on there if you're not already. But if you want to head over to youtube.com/DarylandBoo, there's the ability to subscribe over there. There's more content over there. I don't broadcast everything out to LinkedIn. I'm a little bit more selective, whereas YouTube has everything that we've ever produced over on there. So I didn't want to take up too much time rolling through all this intro stuff because I wanted to bring on Tanya, and I will do so right now. Hey, Tanya, how's it going?
Hi, Boo. How's it going? It's been a while.
It has been a while, and you know what? I'm gonna bring up something here. I was telling you before. I'm going through, before these shows, I go through and I'm like, oh, okay, what can we talk about here? And I'm going through what can we talk about with Tanya, and then I started to realize you have done. Let me try to list things off, and then you tell me what I've missed. First of all, you launched We Hack Purple. So your own company, you started launching security courses. You launched a podcast. You wrote a book. And you've probably appeared on like 100 podcasts or spoken at 100 different events at this point right now. Am I missing anything at this point?
We had a big announcement last week that We Hack Purple just partnered with OWASP. And so that's exciting. And actually, our community became free yesterday.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
There's some value for everybody to check out. That is super cool. And actually, I wanted to spend time, maybe if we can kind of go through some of these one by one, because I think it's important because of how much this show is entitled, or is titled Community Edition. So this is how people are interacting with the community, and you're especially good at this. But how do things like We Hack Purple, maybe starting off with the Academy, like how's that, what is that exactly that you're offering there?
So basically, when I left Microsoft, I started a startup. It didn't work out so well. And so then I just took a month or two off, and every single person I spoke to said, hey, could you train our devs on security? Could you train our AppSec team? And I was like, oh, okay, sure. That sounds really fun. And then basically I made so I use a service called Thinkific, which is awesome, which is out of Vancouver. So you might know them, Boo. Yep. And so they have a platform, and then we made our own beautiful version or instance of it. And we offer an entire program now, which I'm pretty proud of because I worked really hard on it, to try to create junior application security engineers. And so it's called AppSec Foundations. And it teaches you from the beginning of, I don't know anything about security, I kind of know some stuff about tech, to I can launch and run a good program. And then, so there's 3 courses, you get the book and you get a certification at the end. And then we also just released a secure coding course for software developers. So you have to know how to code to take the course. So sometimes people are like, I don't know how to code. Should I take this course? And I'm like, no, you should go and learn the basics of how to make a web app. And then you should come back and we'll teach you how to do it securely. And cool. So that it's so exciting. And so I was surprised, not surprised. We sold a lot more of the secure coding course than the entire AppSec program. But the people that take the AppSec program, they usually get jobs immediately doing AppSec. Well, the software developers are like, now I'm just way more awesome at my current job. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And
that's super cool.
We have a scholarship program. So as you might be aware, as a person that's not a white dude, tech is not super diverse in relation to race, gender, sexuality, and all of those things. And so we have a diversity scholarship for people that are underrepresented in tech. And we have been putting 60 people through our Application Security Foundations program via sponsorship. So every time someone pays for one person, we pay for 2 people. So 3 people get to go through. And Slack just bought 15 more. So it's so exciting. And so the people are graduating, and a lot of the people are women of color, and we make job introductions. And so it's so exciting because companies will say oh, we're really serious about diversity. And then I'm such a jackass. I'll email them and say, hey, do you want to meet 5 new grads that are not your standard, I guess, your most represented groups, right? They're the least represented groups. I'm like, do you want to meet them? And they're like, yeah, wait, what? This is awesome. So it's exciting. And so far our grads have an employment rate of something within 90 days, it's 95%. It's awesome.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is super cool.
So that's the Academy, and it seems to be going really well. And then we also give the courses live to corporations, but that costs way more. So this is more, well, I wanted to make it accessible because when I was learning, I couldn't afford to go to SANS, and SANS is awesome. I'm not trying to talk trash about them. If I could afford it, I would have gone for sure. And so we've made it a lot cheaper. And that's because it's on demand and it doesn't require a person to be there for each step. But then we have the communities to support all of the people.
That's super cool. So the community aspect of it that you've now made free, is that a good place for folks to go and potentially network with potential employers and other people, other contractors and whatnot?
Yeah, so the community is a lot about learning. We have a jobs channel where we share lots of intro, entry level or junior level security jobs, but it's more about learning and kind of meeting friends and hanging out.
Mm.
So we have several events that are free that we do like each week or each month. And then we also have, so basically when you join, there's this onboarding where it's like, hi, what's up? Welcome to We Hack Purple. Are you a super beginner? Are you super advanced? Do you want to know cloud? What are you interested in? And then we have this like weekly drip content where we send you articles and stuff that we think will help you learn just a bit at a time at the level that you're at. And then there's all these different chat groups where you can talk about DevSecOps or ask questions, have people come and answer you. And then sometimes we just like hang out. So sometimes we just we'll all stream on Zoom and talk about books we like or whatever else, or so that's pretty fun.
That is probably the most undervalued thing that we have realized is very valuable about meeting in person, in that these conferences that all got canceled last year, and still many of them are going virtual, and we went through this ourselves at F5, is how do we replicate that experience of being able to network and just chat with people? Because it's all great to look at the main stage and the keynotes and people are sharing their thoughts and ideas and whatnot on there. But these hallway conversations where you run into somebody who has a similar interest to you and they share something that they've learned, or user group events as well, like all that kind of stuff is just missing, has vanished at that point. So that's great that you can replicate that.
Yeah, and actually, as things start to open up and we start to go places again, so I got my second vaccine yesterday. Woo! And so tentatively, I'm going to Switzerland and Toronto later this year. Cool. And so I'm going to see if there's any We Hack Purplers that want to come and hang out.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's exciting. It'll probably just be like open for everyone, but with the idea being that like they get to meet each other in person. And when I started the community at first, I felt like it sucked because it was like me talking at everyone. And I was like, no, I want to know what you have to say. I want you to know each other. No, this is no good. Because like I do want to share articles and stuff, but I'm like, I want everyone to share articles. I want everyone to be able to have an opinion or ask a question, and so we switched platforms twice because we wanted to find the place where like everyone could talk to everyone, and also where there was no crappy spying. And so, so we're on this platform called Mighty Networks. So there's no advertising, there's no data gathering or anything like that. We have your email address and we're only legally allowed to use it to talk to you about the community. And I'm like, good. Yes, I have privacy focused like peers, and I want to treat them the way I want to be treated. So that was really cool, because a lot of the platforms I discovered, there was a lot of stuff that made me uncomfortable when I looked at them more closely.
Oh, that's cool. So I want to ask you a question actually about how did you inspire that transition with other people, going from you talking at them to them talking peer to peer? Like, how did you motivate that? So
this is going to sound really obvious, but I just sent everyone a survey. So at first, the community cost. So until yesterday, the community cost money, and so I was like, buy me a latte once a month and I'll send you tons of articles. And it's funny because I was sending an article almost every day and everyone's like, oh my God, Tanya, calm down. This is a lot. I need, like, this is too much. And so I sent a survey and I said, do you want an article like once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week? Do you want an event, once a week, once a month? And also I was like, I don't know how to say this question correctly, but like, I don't like that I don't get to hear from you very much. And I wish that you knew each other. And that's how I feel, but it's our community, not just mine. So what do you all think? Do you want to have a platform where you can meet each other? And 100% of them said yes. So when I decided to open the community, what I did is I asked them. I always like to ask permission. I'm like, so I'm thinking of making it free and like opening it so that, someone can ask to join and then they have to write an answer. And I just want to make sure that they're not jerks, because everyone's so nice in the community and we get along really well. And so then I'm like, you can refer people if someone's an OHAS member, or if they pass the sniff test of Tanya emailing them back and forth and checking them out. Is that okay? And we hope like we're not going to have any jerks come in like that become toxic or whatever. And like, does this work for you? Should we open it? And then it was a 100% yes. So I was like, let's do it. So it's pretty exciting.
Oh, that's super cool. Yeah, that's great to hear that you do that and you have that vetting process as well, because you've kind of I've kind of noticed like some groups are they either have toxic people in there that it just kills everything, because somebody makes one comment and somebody just comes down on them and says, oh, that's not right, or whatever, this is my view of the world, and nobody else is right. And it just destroys everything. Like one single person can wreck everything.
Yeah, I actually, like when I joined OHASP, there was a person like after maybe a year and a half who, in my opinion, was harassing me. And it turned out that person had harassed lots of women, and I complained. And at first they weren't sure what to do about it. But then eventually they gave the person a 1-year ban, and then the person was poorly behaved during the 1 year. So they're like, goodbye. And so many women were so much happier. And like a bunch of us came back, and I was like, yay. And it turned out the person was really mean to men too, but they were just less vocal about it. So, so they were indiscriminate with their meanness.
Yeah, I guess.
But
Wow.
it's important to protect your community. It's really important. And like our community, especially because of the diversity scholarship, like we are not the regular representation that you would have in tech. And I do a lot of stuff around accessibility. So we have people who are deaf, people who are blind, and all sorts of other people that aren't fully abled. And I'm like, it's really important that all of them get to participate fully in all the stuff, like as much as possible. And I don't want to make a place where it's like, well, if you don't fit into this cookie cutter, then it's going to be a sucky experience for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I like how you've, you've separated like the commercial side of things and the community side of things. Like you have this area where you do business, and then you have this area where you're joining people together. I see that as a huge value to what you're doing too.
Part of it is totally honestly so I can hang out with them. I guess because I like basically created my favorite place on the internet where all my friends are. and it's like awesome, right? And so selfishly, like I remember the marketing team was like, we don't actually see like the return on investment. And I was like, oh, the return on investment is that I'm happy. And I want to keep doing all this work. And they're like, oh, yes, ma'am, we understand. Like, we're not going to make our money back on this, and that's okay. Yeah,
that's tons of value right there as well. Maybe let's go through some of the other stuff that you've been up to here. So if we look at this tab, you've been podcasting a lot. You're up to roughly 1 billion podcasts. Let's see, 49.
Yeah, and
48.
Tonight, like in 6 hours from now, Boo, is a Deviant Olam, and he's going to talk about like physical pen testing and like how to assure the security of a building. Yeah, and he's sort of my friend and stuff, and we haven't seen each other because of the pandemic. So it's going to be really good. And he's quite funny, so that's a bonus.
That's awesome. And I know you've had some F5. Not to bring it back too much into the commercial side, but you've had some F5 or former F5. I guess Jared recently went on to maybe another venture, I believe, but he's a pretty smart dude that was on.
Yeah, he talked about F5 a fair bit.
Okay, awesome. And you had Hyan.
Oh, yeah. Hyan's awesome. And I made her make a new Twitter profile so that I could add it. Oh, really? She's like, oh, I just have the old one that belongs to the old company. And I was like, well, then how am I going to follow you on the internet, Hyan? And she's like,
there she is.
There she is. And she's like, well, then it's just going to be you following me. So then I tweeted till she got like 20 followers. I'm like, there's like 19 other people that care. So haha.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm sure she has way more now, but that was just the first day.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, if folks aren't following her, she is somebody, at least at F5, that's going to be taking us into kind of that next level of where we need to be, or that next step of where we need to be. One of my friends at F5 is now in a position that's kind of dotted line reporting to her, and has endless good things to say about her. So I'm really excited to see the differences that she's going to make. So anybody who's looking for some more content to consume, check out this podcast. I think it's a video and audio podcast. So you can consume it wherever you want to take in your podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. So on the We Hack Purple YouTube, or just if you look on any podcast platform. So after, obviously, you subscribe to Booze Hour, then you would subscribe to the We Hack Purple podcast.
Awesome. Yeah, we lost another subscriber the other day. I don't know why they're dropping like flies. We have lost 2 in the past month, and I've lost sleep at night, but we'll get them
How
back.
do you keep track of that?
Well, it's not like I don't have over 1,000, so it still shows you the single digit changes.
Okay.
That's okay.
I don't look,
good.
and then I don't worry about it.
That's true. That's a good idea too. Oh, and I've got this link here for your book as well. So if you weren't busy enough, you took time to actually write a book. 288 pages is no joke as well.
It was hard.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually the audiobook just went for pre-sale last week on Audible and Libro.fm and all those places. And I read my own book. And Boo, you should know, reading an audiobook sucks so much. It's so hard. I have done music recording. I have done like acting. I've been in a movie. I've done like podcasts, and all of it is fun. Being in like recording an audiobook. Do you understand how many mouth sounds we make and how unacceptable they are? And so I'd be sitting there, and he's like, okay, so the thing's playing, and then I need you to read the rest of the paragraph. And then I'd open my mouth. He's like, no, you made mouth sounds. He's like, sit there with your mouth open. He'd be like, oh, you're breathing. We can hear you breathe. So I'd be sitting there holding my breath like this until my part came. I'm like, I feel like such a moron. And I was like in this little tiny booth in the dark, and I'm just like, what have I got myself into?
Oh, wow. So you had to go to a studio to record that?
Yeah, it took an entire week. But actually, like when I listen back to it, so it's kind of hard to seem super excited. So I drank a lot of coffee. And it's like, Alice was not impressed with Bob. And because I've done professional acting and stuff, like when I was younger, usually they don't let the authors read textbooks, right? Because quite frankly, textbooks are usually boring to listen to. And 2, because most authors don't have professional voice work experience, right? So I'm like, blah, blah, no. And so it's apparently quite lively for an audiobook recording.
Oh, that's awesome. A friend of mine, or family friend of ours, is actually somebody who reads audiobooks on behalf of other people, and that's her job. But she doesn't do it in a studio. She goes in her closet where there's lots of clothes around her, and then just has a mic up to her. But she's been doing it, I think, since the start of the pandemic. She picked that up as a gig, so sounded interesting.
I tried doing that, and they were not superbly impressed with my recordings by myself. They're like, you clearly need a person to crack the whip on you.
That's actually, so a week. So how many hours of talking did you have to do there?
So we did 6 full days of recording that were 6 hours long. And then we did a day of corrections, but it was only half a day because we got really good at it. So we would play the paragraph before, and I would listen to the tone of my voice, because I don't know if you know, but earlier in the day versus later in the day, you have a different tone in your voice.
I've heard that, yeah.
And so, so trying to match your own tone, your own speed, your own energy level. It turns out, so like at first it was really hard. And then around half an hour in, it just clicked. And it was like, boom, 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 boom. And we finished almost all of them in an hour and a half. And the sound guy's like, did we just do that? I'm like, we just did, Dennis.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
There were air high fives because pandemic and stuff, but
Mm. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. See, I was saying before this, I knew we'd blow through a half hour pretty quickly here. We got 3 minutes left. Here, I got a question for you, and you sort of already answered this. When it comes to, you talked about this with your course, but when it comes to hiring somebody now, they've gone through your course, ideal now for folks looking to hire developers, AppSec people, to look for the type of training that they're doing, especially if they're just coming on to the scene and newer. What besides just contacting you immediately, like what should employers now be looking for? Like these types of courses, are they looking for long degree programs, or courses like yours that's going to cut it to get them to go and then get the experience?
If you want to hire someone to do application security, I would say it's important that they have some development experience so they understand what software developers do. Like that would be ideal. And then they're obsessed with security and they're obsessed with helping. They really need to have a positive attitude and like a teamwork type of. I used to work with this guy at Microsoft named Scott, and he would always say, you got to have teamwork to make the dream work. And I was always like, you're such a cheese ball, but you're so right. But he would always say it in like an absolutely like trying to be annoying way. Like he would overemphasize it and be cheesy. And I was like, Scott, you're the best. But like, if you have a person with that attitude where they love learning and they love security and they love helping, that is the type of attitude you want. And so if you're going to have a junior person and then you can have a more senior person mentor them and teach them, that's good. Like just some software development experience, excited about security, and then the mentor can teach them. I mean, obviously I'm biased, but the AppSec Foundations program is my entire brain transferred to other people. So I think it's quite good. There's unfortunately not a lot of other ones that are on that specific topic. And I wish that there was more, but not that competed with my business. But really, if you're trying to hire like application security people specifically, like pen testers can be good for sure, as long as they have like the I want to help attitude. They have a lot of knowledge that's already there. That's good. But generally, like software developers, they're obsessed with security. But if you are a company and you're trying to hire developers that know security, it might be easier to just train them. Because if you're getting them out of university, I assure you, they do not know how to write secure code or like ensure that the code they're writing is secure. Like I'm super biased, but I suggest you buy them my book, Alice and Bob Learn Application Security, because there is an entire chapter about secure coding. There's a chapter about security requirements, about secure design. Like I really wanted to make it where someone that doesn't know anything about security could read it and they're like, I feel confident and I know what to do. I've had one person say, it's not advanced enough. And then thousands and thousands of people say, you met me where I was at. I'm like, yes, that's what I want. It is hard to hire security professionals. And so building your own is a good plan. I've actually had some companies just buy like a bucket of courses, and because we have group discounts or whatever. And then whenever a new dev starts, they're like, boom, here's your onboarding training. And I'm like, oh, that's smart. And then they can just start it whenever they want to, right? Because it's on demand. I'm like,
yeah. And then that I like how you went through attitude before anything, like, and that idea that person says that the book's not at their level, that I feel like that's not the attitude that you're necessarily looking for.
Yeah, I feel like there's sort of the old mentality of security people where they're like, you must jump through my hoops and earn your way through my gates, or I will crush you and you will not go to prod. And then DevOps happened and they're like, whoop, 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 I'm around you now. I can do whatever I want. And software developers could always go around the security people. We always could. We make something out of nothing every day. We don't need your approval. We do that because it's policy and it's polite, not because you could actually stop us if you dreamed of it. And so I feel like now there's like this newer attitude. And I don't mean young people, I mean around the industry generally, like people that are 55 are adopting this new attitude of like, it's my job to secure the org. It's your job to build cool features. Let's work together so those features are cool, but also safe to use. And I am enjoying this change that I'm seeing. It's not the whole world yet, but like I'm seeing it more and more and more, and it's awesome. And so, yeah, if you want to work in application security, it's your job to help the software developers do their jobs securely. And when you adopt that mantra and you're like, yeah, I'm here to serve you, like your life is better. You earn trust faster. You get more done, right? And like nothing's ever going to be perfect in security, boo. It's never going to be perfect. But like if you can get halfway there instead of only 25% of the way there, it's better. And like, yeah, being nice gets you further with more people. Like that's like a good life rule, but it's especially true with security. Like, okay, so you have this crazy deadline of Friday and it's Wednesday, and I really want you to fix the security thing. And you're like, I'll die because I'll have to not sleep for 3 days to get it done. So it's like, how can we compromise on this, right? And still get what they need, but also get what we need. Yeah.
Sometimes I think I heard somebody say just shipping code itself is a feature some days.
Yes.
So whatever you can
It's
do
so
to
true.
get it going.
Yes.
Cool. We're past time. So thank you so much for jumping on. If we do a season 3, I would love to have you again. Don't know what the future holds for Booze Hour Community Edition anymore. There will be other forms of this, and I'll still be live on a lot of other things. So I thank you for jumping on and closing out season 2 with me. Everybody, if you haven't followed, you have tons of followers, but for that one person that might not be following you, it's right there. She Hacks Purple, the website We Hack Purple, the book, all of the things. Go follow all that stuff. Thank you very much, Tanya, for jumping on.
Thanks for having me, Boo.
See you, folks.